It's a great honor and a great privilege to be in the Military Cowboy Hall of Fame. Stock contractor, putting on military rodeos, and winning 3 events at one military rodeo. Go to a good rodeo school, learn from a professional, and serve your country proudly. If you're going to rodeo in the military, rodeo as hard as you can and do the best of your ability, and serving your country proudly. And the rodeo is competition, and you got to get with it and get on them good horses and good bulls to be a winner.
So Jules, how does it feel to be a part of the Hall of Fame?
I'm so honored by the people that I've been inducted with. A lot of people have gone before us and done things. I kind of got in the middle of the military rodeo onset, and it's definitely honored to be here. The people that have gone before, and you know, gotta face it, I'm the first girl. That's some good stuff now.
That's true. That's true. So what part of your rodeo history do you think made it possible for you to be a part of the induction this year?
You know, I'm going to say earlier, one of the kids came up to me and said, "Do you remember paying my entry fees one time because I didn't have enough money?" I said, "No." He goes, "You did, and I won, and I paid you back." And I was like, okay, I think being there, being a part of everything, and being accessible, and making them feel not alone so far from home made a big difference. And that, you know, I was open to that. And my 3 boys grew up around a bunch of great guys, can't shake a stick at it.
You worked in a lot of rodeos. What is your favorite military rodeo story?
Oh, let me think. Wow. Favorite military rodeo story. There's so many. I guess one that comes to mind straight away is being in Sacramento. 5-day show with Cotton Rosser, California State Fair. And I was short a couple of bronc riders. And one of the kids who hadn't been riding very long at all, he's from Louisiana, but he hadn't been riding very long. And he says, "Well, Miss Jules, I'll do it." And I said, "Okay, well, come on now, you know." And he did. And he'd already won, I think, the day money in the bull riding. Oh, never been on a bucket horse, but he won that bareback riding. Jason Scott. Yeah.
Jason was quite a hand.
Yes.
Jason was quite a hand.
Give me 1 second. 1 second, please. 1 second.
Ready?
Stand by. That's more than that. A little bit more. Go. Go.
So what is your advice for young service members who are wanting to rodeo and still serve their country today?
I think you need, the team concept is a very important element of military rodeo. And I think if you want to rodeo, get a team with your unit, go to your CO and say, "This is what we want to do," prove yourself, and they will back you because you're representing your branch of the service. And let's face it, we're in a time right now where they like to see these guys doing well. So I think that doing the team effort would probably be the best advice for anybody at this time.
So any final thoughts about serving and rodeo?
I don't think I could have asked for a better way to have spent so many years of my life. It was such a blessing. God has blessed me in so many ways and taught me so much through rodeo and the services. You know, each branch of the service is their own little unit and has a different personality. I saw some of the kids today that I hadn't seen in quite a while. They came, and they're grown up. They're wonderful young men, and they're not even young anymore. But they're great young men, and you see what that small time in the service did for them and where they are now, and they will all tell you that I had something to do with it, which, I don't want to, toot my own horn, but that makes you feel really good that you helped along the way, whatever it was. It was for 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 year.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jules.
You are welcome.
All right. Scott, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me, how does it feel to be a part of the Hall of Fame?
It's a great honor. I feel real blessed to be here with all of you guys, past inductees. I never thought that I would be sitting here, but I'm truly humbled and honored to be part of this organization.
Well, thank you. So, what part of your rodeo career do you think it made it possible for the selection committee to decide that you should be inducted this year?
Well, I can't take the credit, but I think a lot of it had to do with what we did as the founders of the MVR. I think that was a big thing. We put a lot of cowboys, military cowboys, on a lot of bulls in a lot of different places, and that was a group effort, a collective effort from a bunch of people. Individually, I like to think that my work that I did as a bull rider, I know that it wasn't that great of a bull riding career, but I hit my stride when I started fighting bulls, and I started getting hired on by a lot of guys that were contractors, and I think that played a big part in it.
So, you competed in a lot of rodeos
Yes.
over the years. What is your favorite military rodeo story?
I think the story that I shared earlier about my wife and I, our honeymoon was spent at a rodeo in 29 Palms, and that's probably the funniest. Would you like me to tell that story?
We've got that one, I think.
Okay.
We're good. So, what would be your advice to young service members who are wanting to rodeo and still serve their country today?
I'd like to hope that, or I hope that today's rodeo cowboys that are in the military would have the same type of support that we had. I just don't know, with all of the other things that are going on in the world right now, that they have the same opportunities that a lot of us had. I know that we, when the Iraq War kicked off, it kind of took our thing that we had going with the MVR, because everybody deployed. And so there's a lot going on in the world. I think it would be really tough for guys right now, but I guess the best thing that I could say would be, enter up and go when you can, and try to talk to your command to get the support. I just don't know, especially being away from the military and being retired since '07, I don't know how things are going in those units where guys could get away and have the time to go do that.
Okay. So, just any final thoughts about serving in the armed forces and rodeoing?
I loved it. I loved being in the Marines. I loved rodeoing, and I was glad I was able to do both. And I think we were, collectively, all of us, I think we were very fortunate, and I hope that, reverting back to the last question, I hope that the guys and gals that are in there now, I hope that they had the same opportunities and chances that we had. Because if not, it's going to die, and we don't want that.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Greg, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Tell us, what does it feel like to be a part of the Hall of Fame now?
Well, thanks for having me. I know it pretty intense. I mean, I never thought it'd amount to something like this. This is great.
We kind of had that conversation the other day about it wasn't something that was on our radar back then.
Correct.
You know, this didn't exist, so it's very good. So what part of your rodeo career do you think made it possible for them to select you this year?
Oh, shoot, I can't really pinpoint, but if I was going to, I'd say they were starting the new organization, and I happened to get introduced to it, and I jumped on board, and next thing you know, I'm on the MCRD rodeo team. I was like, that's a Marine Corps base, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
But it all worked out good for me.
So everything was fine between you and the Marines then?
Oh, yeah.
They liked having you on that team?
Well, not so much that I was Navy, but yeah, they liked having me on that team because what I could do for them and the privileges that come with being the team champions.
There you go. So you competed in a lot of rodeos. Tell me your favorite military rodeo story.
Oh, shoot, my favorite story or my favorite rodeo? The favorite story would have to be my traveling partner that introduced me to the Military Rodeo Cowboys Association, Gunny Sergeant Jody Houston. We was going to some pro rodeos at the same time. He's a permit holder and all. His bronc horse had jerked him out over his head first jump out of the box. He'd been kneading it all the way home, you know, like he's trying to make bread out of it or something. I don't know. Finally, I said, Jody, you ride broncs like an old woman. Well, next thing I know, I'm entering the bronc riding at the next military rodeo. To my fortune, I win the bronc riding. I thought it had shut him up, but no, I was entered at the rest of them rodeos for that year in the bronc riding.
Payback comes in a lot of forms sometimes, huh?
I didn't realize what he was up to, but I see now that it was beneficial to the team. I mean, them points make a difference at the end of the year, and that van we got to use and things like that, that was all part of because we won the team championship.
Right. Good. So if you had to give advice to some of our young service members out there right now about being able to rodeo and still serve their country, what kind of things would you tell them?
Well, realistically, they enlisted in the service. That's their first responsibility. And the privilege to go to a military rodeo is hard to come by when I was doing it. So get out there and do your best and do them proud, and they'll be happy to let you go some more.
Good. So any final thoughts about military rodeo and serving in your country?
Oh, shoot. The two going in hand, that's hard to come by. I mean, when you give yourself up for the military, you don't have any plans for anything else. To be able to rodeo is a privilege, you know, and shoot. As long as you do your best, I'll let you go anytime you want.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right. Jack, welcome. Tell me, how does it feel to be a part of the Hall of Fame?
It's a pretty big deal. It's pretty cool. You know, we back when all this started, I like to think I was one of the guys that kind of helped push this thing through, and not the Hall of Fame, but the Military Rodeo Cowboys deal. We got hammered on quite a few rodeos, and a lot of stock contractors are taking pretty big advantage of us, and so to get this thing started and going, and then have it progress from the MRA to the MRCA, and then they started the PAFRA. Scott started that bull riders deal only for military guys. I mean, it's just really, it's really cool that advanced, and then you guys took it to the next level, and you got more bull ridings going on, and you got the Hall of Fame. I think it's pretty cool. You know, it's pretty neat. You guys need a pat on the back.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that. So, what part of your military rodeo career do you think the selection committee looked at and said, you know what, that's what makes it that Jack needs to be in the Hall of Fame?
Tim, I didn't hear you ask anybody that question. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, I win a bunch, and I taught a lot of kids what bind was and how to set bind in a rig, and I taught Sonny, and then of course Sonny, he went on. I helped Jerry Smith do a rodeo school for a bunch of military guys, I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, the only thing I can say is, I just won some buckles, and
Sometimes that's the start, right?
yeah, because
What gets us on the road. So you competed in a lot of rodeos over the years. Tell me your favorite military rodeo story.
Well, my favorite military rodeo story is the one I told about my wife. Because that 35 years together, you're willing to reach in an outhouse to do that. That says you're committed to that woman, that's a lot of commitment. I guess my favorite rodeo story, military story, was there was a young kid named Sam Lee that came in my unit, and he was from Ohio, never rode a bucking horse, he came to me and he said, Jack, I want to ride bareback horses. And you got to set the stage for you. He had these cut off man beater shirts. He wore Levi's, and he had dingo boots with the little strap on them. And I said, well, the first thing we got to do is change your wardrobe, because I'm not packing you down the road looking like that, buddy. So we get him to his first rodeo, and I didn't put a lot of bind in his rigging, but I was giving him just kind of a taste of it. And so he ran his hand in the rigging, and he was really scared. His knees were shaking, and he's kind of dry mouthed, and he's stuttering. And I looked at him, and he's just running his hand in his rigging, and I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said, okay, Sam, if you buck off, hang and drag a little bit, go around the arena a couple times, and make the crowd happy, then they'll come back, tomorrow, So he goes out, about 2 jumps out, this horse hammers him, but he's got his hand hung in that rigging. And he does about 3 laps around the Pendleton Arena. And finally, and the horses tore his chaps off him, tore his pants off him. The rigging slid down the side of the horse, and finally the horse steps on him right in front of the buck and shoots. He comes out, rolls in a wad of dirt, looks up, and me and Buster and Eldon Foote and Gunny Glover and a bunch of guys are standing there looking down. He looks up at me and he goes, how's that, Jack? I said, I was just kidding,
Just just to finish that story, Sam actually went on to have a great military rodeo career, won several world titles.
He did.
And so it was it's fun to hear those stories about how some of us got started. It wasn't necessary glory from the get-go. So what would be your advice for young service members about wanting to serve and rodeo today?
That's kind of a hard question, and the reason I say it's hard, because I don't think right now with the wars that are going on, even though they're winding down, the tempo's still real high. So I don't know, but I'm just assuming that it's probably pretty hard to get time off to go rodeo. It was a lot easier for us when I was in anyway, because it was in peacetime. The only stipulation I had was I couldn't go to a pro rodeo. If there was a military rodeo, I had to go to the military rodeo. I couldn't go to the pro rodeo. That was the only stipulation they had for me. But it's the tempo right now. I just don't know if they have the advantages that we had with the command and with the actual sport of rodeo being there. Like Scott said, there's just, I don't think it's there for them. Other than go some IPRA rodeos, open rodeos and stuff, but I would tell them, if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have the skills, go to a school like Ike Sankey's probably a great school to go to. Cody Custer is a good one to go to. Get these guys directed in some direction like that, because I know a lot of guys that wanted a rodeo back when I was doing it. They would just go jump on a horse, get bucked off and hurt, or a bull, and they were done. They didn't want to do it, even though they had the passion and the want to. But if you're just getting hurt all the time, what's the fun in that? So I would say, I'd tell them to go to a school and go somewhere and get some good knowledge of how to get out of a wreck if you're in a wreck, that kind of stuff is, I don't know if that answered your question. or
Yeah, I
not.
think it does. I think so. So, any final thoughts on military rodeo and the armed forces and rodeo in general before we wrap it up?
It would be real neat if we could, help the commands or help them, get something going. It'd be wonderful if we could get Pendleton back up and running again, if there was some way we could get the command on board. Even if you could get some team roping going or some high school rodeos going, just something to kind of get the commands to start picking it back up as a sport. But it's kind of like Chuck Wilcox, we were talking. He was played softball for the Marine Corps and traveled all over the world playing softball. And like we were talking, when you got, say, 200 cowboys that are wanting a rodeo, but you got 500 guys that want to play softball, who's the command going to give the money to and who are they going to give the help to and the TDY orders? And so we got to kind of bring that end of it up to the commands like they do softball and football and that kind of stuff. And that's always been the crippling factor of rodeo. And they just never had the turnout like they did with the other sports like that. So to get special services on board and to get the commands on board, we kind of got to get that side of it lifted up to, and that's, in my opinion, it's going to take civilians. It's going to take me, you, Fred, everybody. It's going to take us to kind of get them going in that direction.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank you very
Chuck.
much, sir.
Appreciate it. All right, Adam. Adam, congratulations. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
So tell me, what does it feel like to be a part of the Hall of Fame?
What an honor. What an honor to be recognized by the rock stars of my life. Marines, military, cowboys. It's a huge, huge honor.
So, looking back over your military rodeo career, what part of that do you think made that selection committee say that Adam needs to be inducted this year?
I always want to say it was my ability and my rodeo rock star life, but I care. I care about the cowboys. I care about who's coming up next. I care about next in line. And I put my heart and my soul in giving them those opportunities, and I think that's what has been recognized.
Let's talk about those opportunities that you're the current president of the Military Rodeo Cowboys Association and rebooting that from starting just a couple of years ago, where it's going now. You just had your first finals last year in the middle of a pandemic, still managed to put finals together and hold, a world championship again. So how does that feel? What parts of that are you proudest of?
I'm proud of the men and the women that are helping me every day put these things together. It's not about me. It's never about me. I do this because I know what it did for me, and I know the opportunities have been dwindled, if not totally removed. And I want to give this younger generation those same opportunities that we had. It gave me home. It gave me peace. Even though I was in a world of combat, I had that home.
So, you competed in a lot of rodeos over the years. Tell me your favorite military rodeo story.
I don't know if I can tell you my favorite one, but obviously, my first rodeo, I introduced myself with authority to the association. I set a world record, first year I ever shoot dogged. I won the bareback riding, and it was the second bareback horse I'd ever been on. People don't understand that I had the advantage of, we started breaking colts when I was 9, 10 years old. But again, that goes back to home. I was comfortable, I was confident that I knew if I did the things that they had told me, I'd be okay. And that was a great memory and a great introduction. You know, because a lot of these kids come in and just like Jack was saying, they don't know anything about rodeo. I didn't know anything about rodeo. I'd been to rodeos all my life, but I'd never stepped behind the chutes and sat on my horse. I'd never caught a roping steer coming out of a chute. But to be able to go in and not only compete and be around people that, you know, I was fresh, new face. I was new. And show them that I belonged. That was kind of cool.
Okay.
So tell me, what advice would you give to people that are wanting to be in the military and still rodeo?
You know, my first thought is come find us. There's a lot of us that have been there and done that are working very hard to create these opportunities for these young men. We want to get them in schools. We want to show their command that, hey, it's a dangerous sport, but everything we do is dangerous. And you lessen that risk when you practice. Practice till you can't get it wrong, then you don't get hurt. On the other side of that, you know, we're military. They're in shape. But there's a lot of muscles that you're not going to work certain muscles unless you're actually sitting on the animal. You know, I think it's why we started everybody out in shoot dogging, just to get them into the life, get them into the camaraderie, the esprit de corps. So find people of the same cloth, and they're going to lead you to where you need to be.
So any final thoughts about Military Rodeo, the Military Rodeo Cowboys Association, and the future of military rodeo?
I think when you start putting forth or searching for that home, you know, even though everybody's wearing the same camouflage, everybody's wearing the same colors, everybody is the same color, you're still going to gravitate to people that are just like you. And don't be afraid if it's something that you long to do, no matter what it is. You got to step that direction. And there's people there that are going to capture you, cradle you, educate you, and bring you along the way. And obviously, you know, this entire association and the MRCA are about bringing them along and giving them something not only to feel good about, but something to work for. You know, we get into these ruts and we forget what home is like. And it gives them something to aspire to for the Hall of Fame. It gives them something to aspire for, that I'm going to ride a bronc this weekend and my goal is to cover it. If I win a buckle this weekend, I've done something. Those commands see it. They see that the guys are functioning as a unit together. Even though it's an individual sport, the team concept is still there. The love for the sport. I mean, how many of us come from country homes and ranching and farming and those type of things? There's a lot of us. But there's also that kid from Detroit or New York City even that, I want to ride a horse. Well, you know what? We know how to do that. We know how to get you there. That's what I'd tell them. Come find us.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you for being with us.
Thank you so much.